You might think you're healthy just because your BMI says so, but BMI is no longer a measure of optimal health. The new data from PMX reveals something very shocking. Only 19% of the individuals had optimal BMI. And even among the so called normal BMI, individuals had more than 3 nutrient deficiencies, insulin resistance, and inflammation. These problems don't make any noise right now, but they sit silently for years. In your 20s and 30s, you may not feel anything, but in your 40s and 50s, it may end up like thyroid disorders, diabetes, hypertension, or even heart diseases, and most commonly, fatigue. So, next time when you say, I'm healthy, my BMI is normal, remember that BMI doesn't reveal everything. So, in this episode, Dr. Abhishek and I revealed how BMI is not the optimal metric for your health and why we need to look at other aspects and biomarkers for optimal health. So it's been a year. We have been at PMX, have been seeing different kinds of people, different age groups, both the genders, different weighing scales. Most of the people come to us and say, I think my weight is normal for my height, my age, I'm all healthy. But if we look at the data, it's surprising to us. Let me start with it. So from the time we started PMX Health, from a year, we have over hundreds of people whose data is there, and it's very shocking to see how many of them actually had normal BMI, which is only 19%. And what is more shocking is, though they had normal BMI, their body composition is completely off. If you look at their insulin resistance, it's on the top. More than 70% of our data shows they're insulin resistant, and more than 35% of them had high body fat. So this is the data. Now break it down for us. Why BMI cannot be one of the main metric when we want to age healthily, and what should be the ideal metric for us?
I still remember us having this conversation that came out of the analytics. Out of a few hundred clients that we had, the 77% of the individuals having non-optimal OMA-IR, which denotes insulin resistance, despite being normal BMI, it just threw us off, right? And it is one of the patterns that we have seen it time and again. And this time it is hard, and we thought we should share
We should
it.
definitely talk about it today, all about why we cannot use BMI going forward.
Because
in
when
our
we
practice.
step on that weighing scale, when anybody does, what it doesn't show is their lean muscle mass. What it doesn't show is how much fat is being accumulated in and around the organs. It just shows the entire mass against gravity on that scale, and that's
Exactly.
about it, right? And the BMI being calculated height in meter square divided by weight in kgs is very good at the statistical level, as we know, but it is not great at the individual level, like that
Exactly.
is for any biomarker. So unless even for that matter, waist to hip ratio, waist to height ratio, or waist circumference, these things also don't match up to their metabolic health, and we have seen it time and again over the past 1 year.
Very commonly, that too, in all of the South Indian population.
Oh yeah.
We know that there is a TOFI phenotype. So basically, they look normal on the outside, they are thin on the outside, they have normal BMI, that is, for their height, their weight is matching.
Yeah.
But we do not exactly know what they are built of, what their 60 kg total mass is made of. That is the problem that we're trying to discuss, right? Again, from the data, if you look at it, more than 35% of the individuals had high body fat. What does this mean? And for our South Asian context, how should we look at health when it comes to body fat?
Our ancestors grew up in a place where there was a lot of scarcity, either through war, famine, or there is a lot of income disparity that was existing back in that time. And thanks to British colonialism, we got us closer to a lot of gene thrifting, as we call, which made us all be susceptible for having this particular phenotype called as thin outside, fat inside, TOFI, as you pointed out. And this, what does that mean? Is that when somebody steps on the weighing scale, let's say there is a 170 centimeters tall person, 65 kgs, 24 or 23 BMI. This is the range that they are going to fall in, right? But that doesn't equate to how much fat is being accumulated in and around their organs or just beneath their skin,
Skin.
right? When fat gets accumulated in and around the organs, it by itself becomes a metabolic system and metabolic hormone and secretes a lot of endocrine recepting stuff, pro-inflammatory cytokines, and it causes a lot of insulin resistance, as we know. And this puts us in the risk of developing high cholesterol, pre-hypertensive state, pre-diabetic state, and eventually, if we don't address it, if we don't do a body recomposition, it is going to take us closer to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and everything that we don't
Everything.
want in life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If we take two individuals, one in their 25 years of age, active, doing regular exercise, another who is a 45-year-old female, more or less sedentary. Imagine both of them had BMI as 23. She's short, sedentary, doesn't exercise. Another one who is a young male, exercises every day, BMI is 23. But if you look at them, look at their body composition side by side, the young person had more muscle mass, less fat mass, and built for resilience. On the other end, the female who is 45-year-old, not exercising every day, sedentary, little shorter, still BMI is 23, but lean mass is lower, fat mass is higher. The body is not built for resilience. So I think this is the difference we're talking about. When we say longevity, it's about what we are investing in and what we are made of, how healthy our bone mineral content is, how healthy our lean mass is, and how it is distributed. We have seen many people with sarcopenic obesity, where, okay, fat mass is higher, but even the muscle mass is comparatively very lower. So we have seen this in n number of people. Now tell me, why exactly DEXA? There are many imaging
Tools,
technologies outside. There is MRI, there is CT, there is other body impedance imaging method. Why DEXA?
So DEXA gives us an understanding, as we know, that DEXA gives us an understanding of many things, including bone mineral density,
Exactly.
and which is a very important part of metabolic health as well. And longevity, when it comes to longevity, bone health plays a huge role, because we don't want to have a small slip in our 50s and then break our bones, lie dormant for 6 months, recovering, and then develop other things like bed soreness, and everything, and die of sepsis. Right? Nobody wants that. So DEXA gives us an understanding of our bone mineral density, our lean muscle mass, our fat percentage, and to be very specific, where exactly is this fat coming from, right?
Exactly.
Whether it is under the skin, which is subcutaneous fat, or in and around the organs, which is visceral adipose tissue. So if, as we know, visceral adipose tissue more than 500 odd grams in especially South Asian population is going to put us at risk of developing metabolic syndrome, or already we are harboring one and we don't know that
We
yet.
have seen it in our clients as well, right? Many people, they come for preventive health check. They say they're all healthy. They have no problems, no symptoms, nothing. They just say, I came for a regular checkup. We look a lot of other things as well, not just body composition, and we see their HOMA-IR is high, they are at risk for diabetes in the future, they have insulin resistance, and their VAT mass is way higher. We have seen people with 1000 grams, 1500 grams, and still looking normal on the outside. So that is...
When we look at all of these people, I keep wondering about those individuals who are being screened at the street level or the
population
mall level. Step on the weighing scale, I'll tell you your destiny. That's the angle at which it is looked at, but it's not giving the exact thing that is going inside in their
Also, we
metabolic
have
health.
seen individuals getting their different body composition analysis to us. They use different kinds of methods. They use bioimpedance. There are a lot of other things, right? I think DEXA is one of the only scanning methods which has the closest value with MRI or CT. We have seen when we were having DEXA at the center, we correlated the results between the visceral adipose tissue measured by a MRI or a CT versus DEXA, and the value is very, very close. I think DEXA is the gold standard, and there's no other way they can figure out their VAT mass or even their segmental composition when it comes to. We even compare many performance oriented individuals come to us and get DEXA. We see the segmental distribution of their lean mass on the right side, left side. So, how they train.
Yet another, yeah.
We need to look at the complete view, right? It's not just about. We've seen other DEXA scans as well. People don't specifically ask; they just go get the DEXA. All we see is a bone mineral density. We don't see their lean mass, so it's important how they go and ask the scan for.
True.
So.
Most DEXA scans just take in account of the bone mineral density because DEXA scan is associated with perimenopause or menopausal group.
Exactly.
And only used as a screening tool for osteopenia or osteoporosis in women of 45
only.
plus.
I've even heard it in one of the major conferences, even in doctor conferences as well, that why is the DEXA scan done for a 40-year-old male? Why is it needed? Like, assuming that osteopenia is possible only in women, only in perimenopause, menopause, assuming a male individual in their 40s cannot have high VAT mass, it's ridiculous. I think
We have seen a
we
28-year-old.
have seen the data, right? In
Yeah.
28-year-old carrying full visceral adiposity around the waist and is a ticking time bomb for all diseases, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis. I think it's high time the population wakes up. If they want a personalized plan, they cannot ask for a plan that works just for them and still look at BMI and a weighing scale. Since we are talking about visceral adipose tissue so many times, explain it to the audience.
So, when I keep going back to this example of a water bottle as such, and if compare our body as a water bottle, and this water bottle stores energy for the future. Energy can be stored in multiple ways. Predominantly, if you have good muscle mass, it will be stored as glycogen in excess. Otherwise, if you have limited muscle mass, some will be shunted out into glycogen and the rest will be converted into free fatty acids. That needs to go into fat tissue. And there are two areas where the fat can be deposited. Some in the muscle itself, some under the skin, some in and around the organs. Now, in and around the organs is critical, crucial. It acts as a buffer between different organs that are there in our abdominal system. The fat is really, really important in converting, sex hormones or stress hormones, steroid hormones. All of these get converted through cholesterol itself. So, fat is great, but in excess, more than 500 grams, it starts to hinder the processes or systems that occur inside the organs. Hence, we start to see fatty pancreas, fatty liver, different grades to it. Eventually, if one does not address this visceral adipose tissue, fatty pancreas will lead to excessive peripheral insulin resistance and also pancreatic beta cell burnout. Fatty liver will progress towards fibrotic stages of liver disease and even cirrhosis for that matter if we don't address. Combine that with poor lifestyle choices like alcohol, then we are getting closer to having a liver which requires an exchange program.
This reminds me of a client's visit last week. 58-year-old female came back. She's on some therapy for a weight loss program or some intervention was going on. She was using weighing scale as a follow-up method. One fine day she came back and said, I think my weight is not nudging. Maybe I'm not responding to the therapy. I need to change the therapy or increase the dose. That was the ask. But if you look at waist to hip ratio, that has reduced. The waist to height ratio also improved. The client feels great energy, no mood swings, sleeps better at night.
Wonderful.
Then what do you think of it? See, body recomposition and she strength trains 3 times a week. Protein intake is appropriate for her body weight.
Wonderful.
Okay. Using weighing scale in such type of individuals who are eating adequately, taking protein adequately, strength training, and assuming that the therapy is not working is a disaster. But when we did DEXA scan for her last week, we saw that there was 4 kg increase in lean mass with a kg loss of fat mass. So I think many people do it. Many health coaches do it using weighing scale or even BMI as a mere metric to look at
Assess progress.
to assess the progress. I think This should stop.
That's a change.
That would lead to unnecessary use of excess therapies, change of therapies. I think that was very devastating for me when I went through it last
So, Dr. San,
week.
how often do you think we should go back to a DEXA scan and then reassess progress if it comes to?
I think we have seen this, right? When clients are on a intervention or a therapy or a treatment or on a nutritional plan where they're trying to rebalance their body, trying to reach optimal health, trying to lose some weight according to the client or body recomposition. When we are doing all that, I think DEXA should be done at least once in 4 to 6 months to look at the trends. Because we need to know what we are losing and what we are gaining. And it's important we need to also track other metrics like waist to some non-invasive methods are also very useful, like like waist to hip ratio, etc. But again, we do not know what we are building and what we are losing. I think 4 to 6 months is a good time, I think, to repeat.
At least in
if
the
they have,
initial
at least in
time of-
initial times, till they adhere to the program, till they have a compliance. Again, if there is a client, they said they have not followed any of those, no strength training, no change in the nutritional plan, there is no need for repeating the DEXA again. So I think it depends on the compliance and the initial stages of starting the therapy or a program. Looking at that again, we were taking this example of BMI, right? Between a 25-year-old male and a 48-year-old female having the same BMI. Can you give one such example that happened that shows that their body composition is very different and how an individual could be at risk of all these diseases?
I'll tell something that is right under our nose, but we don't look at it the way. Japanese sumo players, right? They look the way they look. They eat about 6,000 to 7,000 kilocalories. They train aggressively, but they are not metabolically obese. They don't have metabolic syndrome going on as much as what South Asians or South Indians have, right? What is different is they have aerobic training at least 300 minutes per week. They do squatting, pushing, pulling, lot of explosive movements put together, and they have extensive muscle mass built over a period of time, which puts them in a very different position than us. Along with, so they are metabolically healthy but looks obese. Their BMI is probably 40 or 45.
Exactly.
But they don't have OMIR of more than 1 or more than 1.5 as such. And their waist to hip ratio is
It's
nowhere close
near
to
optimal.
what we have right now.
Exactly.
But they have much better health than most of our Indian population as such.
Just going by the looks is very dangerous. Both ways.
Both ways.
This reminds me of yesterday's client, 38-year-old male, just joined the program. One of the goals was, apart from achieving preventive health optimization, was losing those 2 to 3 kgs. Okay. BMI was 28.9. Okay. Did a DEXA. Tell me what you assume of this individual who wants to lose that 2 to 3 kgs of weight and BMI at 28.
Probably has low muscle mass.
No. To the contrary.
She had great muscle mass.
The individual had 85% is made up of the muscle mass, and body fat percentage was a mere 15%.
Wow.
Now tell me why this individual wants to lose weight.
Vanity?
I don't know. I think this is an investment, right? Building the lean mass, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
You have to eat well, exercise well, strength train well, and what happens when you lose the lean mass that you built?
Takes months to regain back, and it is something that has compounded over a period of time, right? They have put a lot of effort, time, money, the nutrition, and being consistent with the recovery patterns, all that put together, and some gifted genes as well. And it has compounded. Probably he was an athlete back in his early teens, and he has continued to compound it till now. I don't know for what reason he wanted to lose weight.
Same thing happened. He has been an athlete all his life during his college times. Of course, in the recent times, the work has been more sedentary, not being able to achieve so many exercise sessions a week. But this guilt factor that I have gained few kilos over a period of time. I think it's both ways. Um, as much as people want to lose weight, they need to know what weight they want to lose. Without knowing what they need to lose, I think they'll be nowhere.
True.
Clueless. So, weighing scale, I think all of us should throw away those weighing scales from bathrooms and finally from our homes. Of course, at a population level, at a PHC center, I understand screening is important. We need to screen every individual whose BMI is more than 25, and looking unhealthy, looking obese is very crucial. But when you move into the inner cores of it and want to stay healthy,
At the
then
individual level,
level, no.
yeah.
Now let's move from lean mass to visceral fat towards bone. Okay, you said the regular usage of DEXA
DEXA scan.
scan is to screen women in their perimenopause and menopause for bone mineral density or osteopenia, osteoporosis. Talk from PMX Health analytics and metrics. What differently have we seen in bone mineral densities?
What has been shocking to me is that more than 70% of individuals had 3 plus deficiencies. And this covered vitamin D, this covered calcium, this covered magnesium, this covered phosphorus. All of these are things that make and break bone health, the bone mineral density. Combine that with hormonal variations which are present in more than 35-40% of individuals that we have seen. It is a nightmare for the bones to remain like a concrete, right? It is supposed to have all of this minerals lodged inside, but because of the deficiency at the blood level itself, there's going to be some depletion at the mineral density in the bones, and that's something that we have seen all this while. And us correcting the nutrition deficiency has taken them long in terms of recovering from joint pains. Vitamin D of 6 and 7, we look at them and wonder how they are
How they are
functioning.
even alive and functioning, both.
So, vitamin D or calcium is not the mere indicator of how your bone health is,
But your hormonal health.
hormonal health as well. And taking a DEXA and understanding your baseline, whether you have your T score and Z score up to the mark according to your gender and age, and when you put it in a standard deviation curve, how far are you ahead of the curve is something that we need to keep a tab on to prevent osteopenia or osteoporosis, which none of us want in our lives.
So when we say this, individuals again and again ask me, even over social media or in the clinic setup, like, my grandmother's grandfathers never did a DEXA scan. Why do I need to do at the age of 30 or 40? Again, going back, our physical activity is no comparison to them. They had 2 plus physical activity. They were mobile throughout the day. Their NEAT was high, non-exercise activity, thermogenesis. We don't move. Our exercise sessions are less than 2 or sometimes none. So I don't think we can compare. And also environmental toxicities. When we scan, so many of them in individuals who are young as well succumb to more than 5 heavy metals, high cadmium, high mercury, high aluminium. We have
all
seen
of these
this again and again.
depletes the bone mineral density.
Exactly.
Right? Plus, we are not eating boron-rich soil harvested crops. We are not eating things that are, the soil health has been depleted, and there have been many movements representing how we will have to restore the soil health. What we had 100 years ago is not, the world is completely different, and if we can take these references to sound cool in conversations, but that's
I think this is for everybody who thinks and asks again and again, why do we need to do things that our grandparents didn't do? Because we are also not doing other things
that
what
they
were doing. And also environment is not supportive enough. So both. And also we have seen in the data as well, right? People who had higher lean mass also had better bone health. And people who had higher VAT mass, which is visceral adipose tissue, had not so good bone health. We have seen worse bone outcomes as well. I mean, this is not just from the data, but these are from the studies as well, which show better muscle health, better longevity, better
bone health,
better metabolic health. Your glucose disposal is good. Your inflammation is on the lower side. You'll have good bone health as well. So give me a few tips as to what we give at PMX as well. If people want to build both their muscle and bone?
When it comes to muscle, the thumb rule being 3 to 4 times resistance training with progressive overload, either with intensity or volume. So it's reps or the weight itself. It could be the weight, could be your own body weight could be free weights or functional, resistance band, anything as such. But intensity or the reps need to eventually go up on the scale. 3 to 4 times you eat the muscle groups in a week, and rest and recover from these activities, very very crucial, as we know. And nourish the body with what it requires in terms of muscle protein synthesis. Muscle loves protein as much as it also loves complex carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is very very, so people go crazy with reducing down carbs when they have this target body figure that they are looking at. They go very very low on carbohydrates and all on to protein. We have seen people
And
who
these are
are,
the people we see their TSH go high and high,
yeah,
and their metabolism crashes
yeah, HRVs
despite.
at 25.
Exactly.
Lose hair, they start to have abnormalities starting to come up. So going back to the muscle protein synthesis, we need a good amount of leucine, good amount of valine, good amount of all the essential amino acids, along with rest and recovery 2 to 3 times a week
And
for
good
good
magnesium,
magnesium.
calcium, D, and other minerals like silicon,
Yeah,
phosphorus,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Yes. If
Bone health, your forte.
see, I've seen many women as well in at PMX when we see the DEXAs. It's surprising, right? In their 30s as well, we've seen individuals in osteopenia, either due to their eating habits or not resistance training or no mechanical load on the ends of their bone. As simple as jumping with impact can reduce the risk of osteopenia. And that's true generally when they are not in menopause or when they are not in perimenopause. Women usually don't think about their bone, right? We think hormones are there, it is protecting us, but nourishing what we already have is important and crucial as well. Nourishing both through food and resting and recovering, and also the mechanical load, which is very important. I have asked a number of individuals to buy a small trampoline and start jumping on it for mechanical load. That is very very important. That impact is important. If you're simply jumping without any resistance, then that will not lead us anywhere. So yeah, that is all about better bone health, because we have seen in the recovery also, we have seen many individuals with low IGF levels and GH resistance. So recovery
Do you
is,
think collagen peptides help in bone health? Because that's one of the common things that have been circulated recently.
it should go hand in hand with lysine, vitamin C, D, calcium, magnesium, all of those things. When we talk about bone and cartilage, people talk only about collagen in silo. What we take along with it is also important. Yes, collagen peptides do help, not just at the bone level. We have given individuals with the gut issues
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
because it helps with repair. But what goes along with it is important. The C, vitamin C rich foods, lysine, all of these minerals and vitamins we're talking about, and protein. When we talk about muscle, we think muscle gives us strength, right? There's much more beyond it.
Yeah.
There is myokines, there is regulation of glucose disposal, and it contributes to good metabolism, thermogenesis, etc., etc. We maintain mobility, we maintain independence. We're talking about two things lately: dynopenia, sarcopenia, which we commonly see. These are the two important reasons: either loss of strength, dynopenia, or loss of muscle
Muscle
mass,
mass.
muscle mass, which is sarcopenia. Both increasing the risk of an individual for a fall, for a fracture, for a metabolic disease, and also for immobility. Now, tell me, from the evidence again, how DEXA scan should be used over time to track your muscle. If somebody started strength training, leave weight loss aside, somebody started strength training, they want to track their muscle mass improvement. How often do you think they need a DEXA scan?
If one has been regular with the schedule, once in 3 months, the first 1 year, and then eventually shift it to once in 6 months, and then make it perennially. But muscle is huge glucose sink, and it going back to how muscle activates many insulin signaling pathways. It activates GLUT4, upskilling and making sure that the GLUT4 receptors are active, and making sure that your mitochondrial functionality is kept at place. All of this prevents metabolic syndrome away from, keeps it away as much as possible, and at the same time preserving the muscle mass, so much so that we don't end up with things that makes us move slower, and with extreme caution when we approach our 60s and 70s. And even if we have a slip or a fall, we are back to our feet like nothing happened. Right? If that skip that, if that's not the case, then things like neck of the femur fracture or having a tibial fracture or an hip dislocation is so common, and that contributes to more than 70% of death in 60 plus year olds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have seen in our cohort at PMX that clients who reduce fat mass by even up to around 300 grams over a 6 months or a 12 months period by a targeted nutrition and other lifestyle changes, they show measurable improvements, right? In their HOMA-IR, in their arterial stiffness scores, in their other epigenetic markers. So future forward, if you want to be healthy, it's not just about BMI, it's not just about DEXA, it's about how we integrate all of these things. We look at more than 400 plus biomarkers at PMX. Why? Because we look at individual as a whole. One person cannot come and say, I want to be healthy. What is the panel I want to get done? This is the most commonly asked question. We cannot do a cardiology panel, a metabolic panel, a kidney panel, a liver panel, gut panel. Sorry. We have to see individual as a whole. What about mental health? People miss out on mast health checkups, right? So overall, if a person has to be healthy, I think we have to integrate all these biomarkers. It's not just about how much muscle you have, how much fat you have. It's about how resilient your body is. How is your metabolism? Do you recover well? You sleep? We have seen individuals who had perfect BMI, perfect waist-to-hip ratio, perfect body composition, still suffer with gut issues, recovery issues. They struggle with low HRV. They struggle with high TSH. I think the magic is when we integrate all of these things, which I think we are doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, most of us can easily look at the Western BMI trend and say that I am in the normal spectrum. But 24.9, which is set as a cutoff for Western population by WHO, is not the same for South Asians, as we know. Our BMI cutoff is at 22.9. Anything more than that puts us at being an overweight individual. And more than 28, we are in the obese spectrum, whereas the bar is different when it comes to the rest of the world.
Usually, we have seen this again and again. They do a mast health checkup, come back and say, I think most of them are looking normal. Most of them are looking normal. I'm happy, I don't have a disease. This is a pattern again and again. So much so that all the pro-illness stage is normalized. All these BMIs between 23 and 25 are normalized. All these individuals, even below 23 with high fat mass, is normalized. I think it's time people wake up and see what future is going to be like on that context. What do you think the future of body analytics is going to be like?
I feel we will wake up and step in front of a mirror. The mirror is going to throw, we'll have a LiDAR sensor, and then they just scans it. We'll have 3-dimensional body scanning happening, DEXA, but put inside our own house itself, and it's going to tell exactly, hey Abhishek, this is what you measure, and this is what you're made up of today, and this is how much hydrated you are, this is how much dehydrated you are.
And by today's analytics, this is what your risk is looking like.
Go easy on the training.
Yes.
Go and rest and take a nap. your sleep is, so there's going to be integration of multiple variables that we have got, right? So you wake up, there is some with a biomarker tracking like a fitness tracker, or an Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch or a Fitbit or a Whoop or a Elio, whatever, right? All of these will have some biomarkers, and this we are living in this Internet of Things IoT era, but this is going to be integrated with super intelligence coming in the future, which will help
So
us
future is all about integration.
integration.
Your wearables, imaging, biomarkers, and AI as well. So basically,
AI is going to
finally,
empower
yes, AI is going to empower
all of this
both
data.
clinicians and the consumers.
Yeah.
So finally, BMI alone is a blunt tool. DEXA gives us a multi-dimensional view, both total fat, visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, bone mineral density, lean muscle mass, and also looks at the regional asymmetries.
Yeah.
And visceral fat is the strongest predictor for a cardiovascular disease or even a metabolic disease, more than total fat or a BMI. And lean mass and bone density are not just nice to have metrics,
It's a
they
must
are a
have.
must to have metrics. Okay. And yes, that is going to be the future for better health span. This is not another fear mongering video. The real intention behind doing today's video is to take out the data and be transparent with you about why BMI is not the metric for normal health and why we need to look beyond. We are trying our best to bring in front of you the latest science, not just the science, how we are bringing science into clinical practice at PMX Health, how we are using data to address, show the problem that India is facing. Why India is today's diabetic capital, why people in India are at risk for so many diseases is because the pro illness stage is not being tracked properly. And we wanted to bring out how we are doing it at PMX, not just talking, but showing you the real data. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I hope you found this video very informative. If you have liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe and please watch previous two videos. One was on pre and post workout nutrition and other was on inflammation.